Right, if no questions, what we do is to look into the presentation part. So, yesterday we talked about having the purpose for your presentation. Anyone can still remember what is the purpose of the presentation?
To change the way people think and to let them do.
Change their think, get them to take some action. Right, that is all. Not just for sales presentation, but for any kind of presentation. And that's why you're called there in the presentation. So there are certain things you need to find out. One is, if you have an audience, since you want to change the way they think and get them to take some action. So what about the audience? What does each person in the meeting, if you're not having a big sales presentation, maybe just 4 or 5 people, what do you know about them, about what they want? So just to give an example. Let's say you are supposed to do a presentation for only 1 or 2 persons. Then while you are there, you'll find out there's a room of 10 people, right? What do you do? And you don't really know who are the other 8. You never met them before. This is the first time you see them. And you're about to make a presentation in front of the 8 of them. Right, what do you do then? Introduce the company. What do you do before the presentation? Yeah, you will go into the room, you set up, and then you're expecting 2 persons, and then 8 all come in, so there's 10 people. So what do you do before you actually stand up and present?
Ask them for their introduction.
Ask them for how? What would be a nice way to ask them for an introduction?
Talk to the 2 person you already met. I mean,
Yeah.
because they know.
Yeah, the 2 persons you know already.
Yeah.
Yes, and?
They probably are higher in position. Normally.
I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. The 8 people may have their bosses.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think they can, maybe introduce just self-request. Yeah. Can we do an introduction?
We can do an introduction.
Can you start from your side first?
We can ask people introductions. So normally, if you were to meet new people, do you go around and exchange name cards?
Yes.
Yeah. So the natural thing is, there are more people. What you can do is to just stop whatever you're doing and then on the purpose of being nice and polite, go around and exchange name cards. Right? So from the name cards, what can you find out? Their title, position, what they do, are they in charge of purchasing, are they technical people, are they sales people, are they finance, whatever, right? So when exchanging cards, you know what they do. What else can you do besides exchanging name cards? Or what else can you do while exchanging the name cards?
CJ, if they don't have name card,
Give them your name card.
they don't have the name card, then
But they don't bring it to the room.
Yeah, you don't know why.
Sure. So assuming that they don't have a name card, right? So you're saying they don't have a name card. Then what do? You give them a name card and what?
Asking.
Ask what?
What
How should I address you? What's your name lah? Siapa nama ada?
I don't remember.
Yeah. And you may not remember the name, it's okay, because I also don't remember names. Especially if they don't give names, I was like, what is it? Right. So, besides the name, you can also ask what you do. Right? And besides what you do in the company, what else? One more question you can ask. Think about this, right? If people come to your presentation, right? They come, are they usually having nothing to do at work, or they usually have something else to do at work?
They have something.
Usually they will have something else to do at work, right? So they are busy people, really. We will just make the assumption that yes. So we just make the assumption that normally people in the office, the customer's organization, normally people are busy people, right? So if they take time away from their work and come to your presentation, will there be some kind of interest or intention?
What is your interest?
Yeah, what makes you want to come to this presentation? What is it that you want to get out of this presentation?
I've been ordered by my boss.
Fine.
Because I have another meeting
I frequently hear.
That's all I don't need to
Because it's like there are 10 people ask one by one.
Yeah.
It's going to take a long time.
No, just a couple of minutes, maybe about 20 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes. Just to, I mean, the thing is, we are just making an assumption that there are more people, may or may not be that many, right? So if there are like between 5 to 8 people extra that you don't know, you can actually go around actually in cuts, right? Now, okay, now assuming that your presentations go one level higher, right? Now you're preparing for big one, this one 20 people to 30 people. So yes, what William said, you are probably not going to go around and collect name cards of 20 to 30 people. So what do you do?
Introduction. I think I will do a self-introduction.
Yeah?
And then, of course, it's like we get a consensus that we start the presentation by introducing each other.
Right.
So I start first,
Yeah.
and then ask them to also go around introducing themselves. At least you might not know what their name, because the names are not important.
Okay.
It's the title that is important.
Okay, title.
So just remember the title roughly.
Right.
Yeah. And then at least you know who to really present to. The decision maker you roughly can gauge.
Sure. Okay, so we can know titles, we can know, sometimes not the title, sometimes the job function.
Yeah.
So we can go around that. We may or may not even have the time to go each one to stand up and talk about yourself, or get each one to introduce your name, right, depending on the time limit. So in a case where you have a big room, you got 20, 30, even 40 people, what you can do is to make use of something. There's a whiteboard or a flip chart, right? What you do is, okay, so we have a lot of people in the presentation. We'd just like to find out what are some of your expectations of this presentation. What would you like to find out more? Right, so before we officially start, just some of you just shout out what you would like to find out. Right, so for whatever you find out, you can what? So here, make a list. Right, so this is make a list of things of what are some of the expectations from the audience. Now, why is this important? Especially in sales context.
So address that concern.
You address the concerns? Yeah. Because we talk about selling B2B sometimes can be very complicated. Selling to a group of people can be very complicated, right? Yesterday we mentioned that if you are in a meeting of 3 persons, one technical guy, one purchasing guy, and one finance guy, right? After your meeting with them, you go back to your office. They have their internal discussion. The technical guy will tell the purchasing guy, "I want the best quality. I want the best function. I want the technically best product." Right, the finance guy will say, I want a low-cost product, right? And the purchasing guy is trying to balance the two needs. So even for a very small group, within the customer's organization, different people may have different priorities, right? So as part of your selling, you may want to make sure that whether it's in the presentation or after the presentation, or whether it's just normal selling that you're selling to a big group of people, you may want to cover as many people's needs and priorities and concerns as possible. Right, so if you have an opportunity to meet up with a lot of people, it's good, and it's good to actually have an idea of what the diverse people have, the kinds of needs that may need you to address. Right, either you can address during the presentation, maybe not. Maybe after the presentation, you know that okay, there are certain kinds of things that the customer may be looking for, and you haven't covered in your presentation, and you can follow up later. Right? It allows you to know, what are the various different needs of the customer. So it's going back to your power mapping. Over here, in the power mapping, we only say that who is in what position. What kind of roles they play? Are they decision maker? Are they a guard or something? What are personalities? What are the attitudes? So some of the things. In a more detailed power mapping is what do they want? Each one of them, what do they want? So if we were to think back about the computer, the CRM case study that we had on Tuesday. In Tuesday, what does the IT guy want?
No shame.
No what? He wants no what? Okay. Yeah. What does the sales VP want?
Sales.
More details.
More details, more sales, what else? On a personal level, what she wants. On an official level, she wants to have a better managed sales team, more efficiency, more effectiveness in the sales force effectiveness, right? What on a personal level, what does she want? What does she fear?
No failures.
Yeah, no failures. I mean, what if you have this system and no one using it? Right, so that's the biggest fear. So this is some of the things that we want to, when a sales scenario, different stakeholders, different people, different influences in the customer's organization may want something a bit different. Some of them you can cover in a presentation, some of them you may not, but it allows you to just make a list of what they want and try to actually address those concerns. Right, so that's something. So that's why we talk about why, what does each person want to gain from this meeting, and find out how to frame your presentation to that to happen. Of course, the second line, what it means is that if you can find out in advance and plan your presentation before that, that will be better. Right, so more or less, we watched Steve Jobs' presentation yesterday, right? Yes, and it took 6 months. Why? Besides that, they're developing the product, they're trying to find ways to sell the product. They're also trying to address customers' concerns, right? In the iPhone presentation, what do you think was some of the customers' concern? Steve Jobs' the objective is sell the iPhone, get people to buy the iPhone. That's a very clear, simple objective. What will be some of the customers' concerns that he has to address during his planning for the presentation?
Is it difficult to use?
Is it difficult to use? Or put it in a more, take this one step further, sorry. User-friendly. Well, firstly, he's telling the audience why your phone sucks. Why your phone is horrible. Right? So you haven't seen what is good, because people will not know what you are using is bad until you see the better thing. Right? If there's no comparison, you never know your life is bad, right? So that's the situation. So the first thing he wants to make sure is to tell people that the phones that they're using are horrible. Okay? And they are going to tell you why it's so horrible, right? The reasons why. Right? And they're going to tell you now, with this new thing, how we are going to fix it. Right? And beyond fixing it, what else you can do to improve your life. Right? So that's the whole plan that they want to say, that how they want to frame the presentation to make this happen. Okay. Yes.
Ask you,
Yes,
because
please.
for most of the, like this one product is a community, right?
Yeah.
It's
This one product is not common.
For me, it's
Oh, yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yes.
product.
Yeah.
But how about the chemical product? I did not see any people do launching the product
We don't have big product launch for, well, depending on the kind of BL. If you are in personal care, there will be launches. Right, so depending on the kinds of products.
But personal care mostly linked to the consumer product.
Well, they sell to cosmetic manufacturers.
Right.
Right, Yvonne sells to cosmetic
So
manufacturers.
it's kind of like promoting the product, but launching like.
They launch to industrial buyers, not consumers.
Yeah,
So-
I see that
Yeah.
one, but the point is like the big event like this and launch the product.
Yeah, the thing is, we are not going to have the kind of audience that Steve Jobs is going to have. So from the video, you can see that probably there are about 500 people at least.
Mm.
Yeah, the good news is you are not going to do presentation in front of 500 people,
Mm.
right? So the thing that we get from Steve Jobs is, again, we may or may not need to really launch a product and get people to buy the product now. What we can do is to find out what are some of the things to make that he makes his presentation so effective and learn from that. Right, so that's context. And yesterday we also saying that in our business, at the end of the presentation, right, the actions that our customers are taking are not going to be by now. Right, we do a sales presentation because it's an industrial product. Our customers are not going to say, okay, here's all the So they're not going to do that. So you're going to think about what is it that you want your customers to do after your presentation. Maybe you have a next meeting, maybe you have a next trial, maybe you get more information, maybe they are asking for you for some kind of technical assistance, right? So let's say you have, Evonik, yesterday we said Evonik has got very strong R&D, right? And your R&D has got this technical breakthrough in whatever, new formulation, some kind of breakthrough. In the past it wasn't achievable, now we achieve something new. So your presentation can be, okay, we achieved something new, these are the selling points, these are some things that we can do for you. What do you think would be a logical next step? Get a new product, R&D, finally has something there. And these are the benefits of that new technology represented. What do you think will be a next step that customers can take? Sorry? Ask for samples. What else? Trials. What about things like, with this new technology, what do you think you can do with this new technology? We have new product with new technology, with new technical breakthroughs, right? So we presented it. And we can throw the question to the customer, now this is the presentation, this is what we think we can do. Now, the time is over to you, what you think you can do with this new technology. Awesome. Right, you can also say that as a part of the next step, based on what you think you can do, is it okay that we can arrange our technical people to talk to your technical people and explore future possibilities? This is what we can do, we don't know what you want, and maybe you also don't know what you exactly want, but it's okay, we can get our technical people to meet up with technical people and you guys can have a discussion. Right? So that could be what I call a logical next step, and basically we're just making a presentation and think about what's next. Right? How does it push your sale forward? Make sense? Yeah. Right, so before we go into the body part, in essence, there are 4 parts that we go into preparing or mapping out your presentation, or 4 components to your presentation. The first one is already what we mentioned, what is the purpose? The purpose of the presentation. So both in the presentation as well as when you are preparing, what do you think could be the purpose of a presentation? What do you want your audience to change the way they think or to take some form of action? Right? And meeting up is a form of action. Right? So that's the purpose to think about and to tell the audience. Number 2, it's about how do you want to structure your presentation? Now, what is the difference between a presentation and a conversation?
More structured.
More structured, right? More one way as well. There could be some two-way feedback, but it's more one way of telling people what you are thinking. So because of this, it's going to be one way, it's going to be more structured. You've got to think about what you want to say first, what to say second. You've got to think about what should be your opening and what should be your closing. Right, so that's the structure part. Number 3, we will think about the visuals. And there are 2 aspects of the visuals. So one of it is your PPT and other visual things. So mainly PPT, but other as well. The other part is what? Your body language, your tone of voice, and so on. So your presence in the room. Right? So both are the visual effects. Right? The 4th one it's about how you get ready for the presentation. So getting ready can be how you prepare. Right? Maybe you want to video yourself first and play back and see. Maybe you want to do some rehearsal in front of your colleagues and get their feedback. and so on. So these are some preparation. The other type of getting ready could be what should be the room setup. Right, you are there, and if you are able to set up the room, are you able to set up the room? Or even better still, sometimes we call Murphy's Law. You know what is Murphy's Law? Anything that will go wrong will go wrong, right? So in the presentation, what is the one thing that could go wrong and be very bad?
Laptop store.
Yes! The laptop and what I call the projector somehow they don't like each other. Right? Okay, so things like this could happen, right? Or if you have a bigger audience and you don't really have a very loud voice, you need what? Mic. And again, can you actually let the customer know that you may need to test mic or whatever, or test the systems? Just go in a little bit earlier and make sure that everything is in place. Now, what if, let's say, your laptop and the projector doesn't really like each other? What can you do?
Bring your own projector.
Apart from that, actually that can, I mean,
Nowadays it's very small, right? You can take it.
nowadays it's getting smaller and smaller. If you don't have a big group, the thing about a small projector is it's not very bright. Yeah, so you can't do this kind of projection. Usually in a small 4 or 5 people kind of projection, you can do that. Right, so a small portable pocket projector. Or you can save your whatever you have into what? A thumb drive, USB drive, and borrow that computer. Right, so those are the things that you got to think about what could happen, and if you want to be doubly safe, this is some of the preparations you can do.
Bring thumb drive.
Well, just copy the thumb drive.
What
Right.
will happen if we don't want to send this presentation to the customer?
Well, you can still copy the thumb drive, and if you are using the customer's computer, you don't have to copy to the computer. You can
Yes,
present
but
from.
sometimes you cannot control the computer, right? So if they want to copy, so.
Yes, the thing is that by and large, use your own computer. Use the thumb drive as a backup. Right? It's not what you want to do, it's just something with a backup. Right? The other way of running, if you really are so concerned about it, you can encrypt the file. So whether it's PPT or whether it's PDF, you can convert to PDF before going to a thumb drive, and you can put a password. So yeah, it's in a computer, but without a password, you can't open it. So there are ways to go around, but these are just contingencies, right? Just in case you are prepared, but the things don't work. Some people actually, instead of bringing your own projector, some companies with a bit more budget, they use the kind of computer where the screen can be, what's called the Lenovo Yoga, flip over. Right? So if it's a small group, flip over, you can see the presentation. So these are some of the little things that you may want to think about while preparing, right? So these are 4 components. So we talk about the purpose. The next part is about this. Yes.
Can I ask the PowerPoint? When do you need to put animation?
Okay.
Because normally we
Too much hassles to make it.
Okay.
under what situation
What
do you think?
kinds of animation?
Yeah.
You can have animation can be just the words coming in, right? That's also animation. Animations is you can have some cartoon coming in and the whole page flip 360 degrees, and that's also animation. So the question is, what kinds of animation?
Those zoom down.
Okay, the words is preferably actually, if you really want to have a good PPT, the point, each point should come out individually. If you really want to make it that way, why come out individually?
Or one by one.
One by one, yeah, one line by one line instead of this whole page coming out. So point on 1, go by this by 3 coming out. Yeah.
You press to
You want
make
to-
The points actually should come out 1 by 1.
Yeah.
Why?
So that the audience
You focus on the point,
Yeah, this
right? So instead of focusing on the whole page, especially like this page, usually it's not ideal also because it's got too many points. It comes out all at once. You may actually lose the attention. Yeah. Yeah, so that's something to think about. So if it's just line by line, that's fine. The thing is, don't make it overly distracting. So the question to ask yourself is, whatever I'm doing, am I helping the audience? Right? Not just the customer, but people sitting down who are a few meters away from you. Am I helping the audience to understand what I'm trying to convey, or am I distracting them? Right. So similar things on the PPT part, which will go into the PPT. What is PPT? Things like what is the size of the fonts? What kinds of fonts? Usually not too many fonts. Right, because again, not too many, unless you want to emphasize something. So some words may be in bold and different colors, but generally you don't want it to be overly, too many things. It can be too distracting. So that's just that. Yeah, and generally, unless you are an ad agency, right? If you have the opportunity, just get from someone, get from marketing if they have ad agency PPT. First of all, ad agency PPT is, each stack is about 100 megabytes or more.
Okay, it's
Right.
another level.
It's super big, right? And it's got many colors, it's got many pictures, it looks beautiful. Generally speaking, we don't need to get to that level. And again, it's about how you manage your own time. It's about time boxing. What is time boxing? If you only have one day, what can you do? Right? If you have only one day to prepare everything, what is the maximum you can do in one day? If you are given a week, right, what is the maximum you can do in a week? Right, so which is why we talk about Steve Jobs yesterday, it was the 6 months presentation, preparation. So you're not going to have 6 months, right? So you're not going to go to that level. But if you're given a week, what is the maximum you can do in a week? Right?
And also about presentation slots, right? The time slots, right?
Yes, yes.
So either it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes
Yes.
or 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. So you got to think about what is the time slots and how you manage the time. You got to think about what is how many slides for the slot. So if you are having like 20 minutes presentation, what is the kind of ideal number of slides if you're using it?
10 maybe.
10? If it's 20 minutes, if it's 10, that means it's one slide, 2 minutes.
Depends on the content, how many
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's not about it's not about the content in the slides. Because one slide with one picture, I can talk about half an hour. Right? It's a long story, yeah? Or in one chart I can talk about half an hour. So it's about the whole thing. What are you trying to convey? So by and large, if you are looking at one slide, if you are having 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes per slide on average. Maybe one slide is just a title, you just flip over. Some other slides you may want to elaborate a little bit more. Right, so it's about one slide for 2 to 3 minutes, that will be okay. So about 20 minutes, maximum 10 slides. Not more than 10 slides.
Because we are talking about Southeast Asian country.
Yeah.
Certain country, their English is really not that good. So if you don't write,
Take longer.
I would
You
say
don't write the English.
words, you might think they, but in the end, they don't know.
Okay.
They probably capture like 30%.
Okay.
I think that is also a challenge.
We'll talk about how to structure that. So basically what we do is in a complex content presentation, we say that you separate your presentation from your report. Right, so what do you call separate the presentation from a report? Basically in your report, you can have all the detailed information, you can have all the tables, you can have all the numbers, and so on. So that is the report. The presentation is just what is the gist of the report. Right, so that
You
is
send the
it.
report to them.
Yeah, you can send a report to them. You can print that out, you can send it in advance, so that allows them to revert back. If you want to go one step further, you can say that, oh, this slide corresponds to which page in the report. Right? If you have a chart, If you have a graph diagram, this diagram corresponds to which diagram on which page on the report. So if you want to be really